I was still grieving the loss of my mom that passed away in 2016 from cancer.
And someone told me back then to put the most I was allowed to into my 401k.
I started taking a really hard look at our finances and researching retirement, and I came across the FIRE community and read books and blogs to educate myself. I mean, our debts were paid off, we'd been cutting expenses, earning and investing money, and really felt that our finances were in order. If you want to spend $100,000 per year in retirement, you need to save $2.5 million. That's $100,000 times 25.
We use different tools to help us keep track of all our finances and investments.
And we began applying for credit cards that would give us reward points to use towards flights and hotels.
Empower, formerly known as Personal Capital, was a game changer for us.
Equity allocation is very important with the 4% rule. It's based on a portfolio of 50 to 75% in stocks and the rest in bonds. If you have $1 million in your retirement account when you retire, you can withdraw $40,000. That's 4% of $1 million in the first year.
She assured me that our money would never run out if we play our cards right. It was 2017 when we decided for me to retire first. I had learned the term geo-arbitrage, and I knew that we should consider lower cost of living areas.
The exchange rate was great at approximately 18 pesos to the dollar. And if we were watchful and transferred money from USD to pesos when the exchange rate was best, it could mean even more savings every month. And after running the numbers and seeing how much more money we would have available from living and traveling, Mexico was definitely the best option for us to begin early retirement. Yep, once we zeroed in on Guadalajara as our first home base, we needed to get the ball rolling. There was lots to do in order to move out of the country and legally reside in Mexico. We created a 6-month timeline of everything we needed to accomplish and when. One of the hardest things on our to-do list was to tell our friends and family we were moving outside the USA. We didn't know how they would take it, but luckily almost everyone was excited for us. We made sure our will, medical directives, and power of attorney were up to date for our son Devin in case something were to happen to us. We completed annual doctor appointments and scanned important medical records to have with us for the future. We were decluttering and donating the entire time. We used the Road Trippers app to plan a route that would take us 10 days driving approximately 4 to 5 hours a day and would allow us to visit family and friends in the USA on our way to Mexico. The visa application was a fairly easy process. Much easier than the visa application for Portugal, we found out later. You pretty much just needed to qualify with their financial requirements. We bought Mexican auto and health insurance, as well as travel insurance. In the midst of the chaos, we prepared and listed our house for sale. We received an offer within 2 weeks and sold over the asking price.
We needed to have a U.S. mailing address and decided traveling mailbox was our best solution. At approximately $150 a year, we would have a virtual mailbox with a U.S. address. They scan our snail mail and email it to us. We can pay extra to have it forwarded anywhere we would like. To sell our furniture and decorations, we threw a buy an old wine party with friends so they can buy our stuff. The more wine they consume, the more they bought. We were lucky the buyer of our home also purchased a lot of the remaining furniture. We had to get Diane's car maintained and ready for the 2,300-mile road trip to Mexico. We sold my car using Carvana, quick and easy, and viciously attacked by a bird in the process. We had to obtain an accredited veterinarian certificate for Che to enter Mexico no greater than 10 days prior to crossing the border.
As the day drew nearer, we were excited and stressed. July 1st was the big day that we officially become financially independent early retirees. Well, now that we had done our research, determined the amount we could withdraw considering the 4% rule, and made a plan for early retirement, it was getting real. We had to set aside our fears and misconceptions and open our mind to change. A change that promises happiness and improved mental and physical well-being. Now we had the chance to take control and design our lives to our preferences and learn new things. The time to focus on what truly matters to us, whether it's a hobby, a cause, or personal growth. And by living within our means, we are rewarded with a life of more freedom, flexibility, and the ability to do what we're truly passionate about without being accountable to anyone. Not knowing if our money will last us for the rest of our lives is a pretty daunting feeling. But if we execute our plan effectively, we could end up with even more money than we had initially. We drew a vision of our future and took the steps to get there.
The time has come. Starting to get the things from the outside now. This is coming with us.
Mexico bound.
We had talked about additional income streams during retirement. We have 3 rental properties with positive cash flow to help cover a portion of our monthly budget. We always wanted to have our own business in the US, and since the original business idea fell through, we were hopeful to make it happen again with something else living overseas. And that something turned out to be our YouTube channel. It's a great creative outlet and a bonding experience with my partner in crime. We get to do what we love, get to share with you, and now get paid for it. Crazy, but cool. We're having a blast doing it and getting better. Thanks to you and your feedback. We really appreciate your support when you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
We chose to manage our rental properties remotely by ourselves and skip the large management companies. They generally take 10% of the monthly rent to manage them for you. And since I've been in real estate for years, we had a good team of reliable contractors for maintenance and construction issues that may come up, as well as amazing friends that had offered to help with property showings and key exchanges. And there are a lot of risks and disadvantages associated with rental property ownership, though. You must budget for maintenance costs and vacancies, appliances that go out unexpectedly, tenants calling you at all hours of the day of night, and of course, the dreaded eviction process and not getting paid rent. An unfortunate situation we have been through in the past. Management companies can handle all of that, but charges add up, and it's difficult to find a reliable company. We're not opposed to them. We just chose to be more involved and save the money. Personal finances really are personal. We had made a plan tailored to us, and now it was time to take action. We had a chat with our accountant, who's also a financial advisor. He helped us figure out the smartest way to access our portfolio while keeping an eye on those U.S. taxes. And don't forget, even if you're living abroad as a U.S. citizen, you still need to file and pay taxes each year. And in our case, we get taxed on our rental property income and the amount we withdraw from our investment portfolio. Well, luckily, our rental properties have many tax deductions to offset the rental income. So we determined the amount of annual cash flow we would receive after deducting expenses, maintenance costs, a percentage for possible vacancies, and unexpected large expenses. And then, based on the monthly budget we had set, we calculated any remaining amount we need to withdraw from our investment portfolio, and ultimately, the estimated tax payments to Uncle Sam.
Get over here!
Then there are those pesky foreign taxes to deal with. Because wherever you choose to live, there will usually be taxes to pay. Everybody wants a piece of your pie.
Yum.
And to avoid double taxation, many countries have tax treaties with the US, but their interpretation can be pretty ambiguous. And the application of their provisions may depend on various factors, including the individual's tax residency, type of income, and the specific treaty language. And if you become a tax resident in another country, typically meaning you live there more than 183 days a year, you may be subject to taxes on your worldwide income. There could be wealth taxes and inheritance taxes in that country. So for example, when you have temporary residency in Mexico, you can enter and leave Mexico as many times as you wish, and there are no time limits on how long you have to remain there each year to keep your residency status. Therefore, you could be a temporary resident without being a tax resident. But in Portugal, you are limited to how much time you can be out of the country as a temporary resident. So in the first 24 months of residency, you must reside 16 months in the country. That automatically makes you a tax resident of Portugal and obligated to file taxes there.
We got super lucky finding a wonderful furnished rental in Guadalajara. Speaking Spanish made things easier, and we get to build a good network of friends mixed with locals and expats alike. We absolutely loved our time there. Mexico is a beautiful country with a rich culture and the best people. We are grateful for the experience, and it will always hold a special place in our hearts as our first country we retired to.
Our expenses in the U.S. were averaging over $7,000 a month when we left, and we were hoping to spend less than half of that in Mexico. And our monthly expenses in Guadalajara turned out to be about $2,800 a month, a decrease of 60%. Although a number of our expenses changed over the years we were there, and so did the exchange rate, we were still able to maintain that average for the first 3 years in retirement. That difference helped our travel budget immensely. We traveled quite a bit during our stay in Mexico. We also learned how to maneuver through exchange rates, bank fees, and ways to manage our spending overseas. We quickly learned when buying with a credit card to always choose to pay in the currency of the country we were in, because our bank gives a better conversion rate than the local point of sale. And we also use a credit card with no international transaction fees like the Chase Sapphire Preferred. We also have a bank that doesn't charge ATM transaction fees when we withdraw money. And when transferring money from the US to our overseas account, we found the least expensive way to do so was with Wise. The transfer is usually completed in a matter of minutes, and it's a simple process. And lastly, we ported our US phone numbers to tossable digits in order to access bank accounts with two-factor authentication, receive calls, receive voicemails via email, and to be able to text using their app. All these little things add up and can save you money in the long run.
We retired during one of the longest running bull markets in history. Our investments were actually doing well and improving, which was pretty odd, especially during the pandemic. But regardless, we still watched our spending, we stuck to our budgets, we developed our routines, we kept our health in check, and we intensified the use of credit card deals to travel with points. Diane is great finding and juggling the best options for us. We mentioned the free Travel Freely app in our part 1 video. It's the best tool to keep you organized with travel rewards credit cards.
While people have many methods for withdrawing money from investments, we went with the strategy of reinvesting any profits and withdrawing when the market is up. We utilize a dynamic spending plan approach to adjust our retirement income withdrawals, starting with a 4% safe initial withdrawal rate and increasing or decreasing based on our portfolio performance, market conditions, and even our age. Because one thing to consider when contemplating how much of your money you're going to spend is that the older we get, the slower we become, and the less we tend to do. In fact, retirement research shows that retirees typically spend less as they progress through the retirement years. We all start with the more active years or go-go years, followed by the slow-go years where you live a more balanced and slower lifestyle, and ultimately, the no-go years where you're less active and more sedentary. We got a few years head start, and we really wanted to squeeze the most out of our go-go years. We also had to consider that healthcare expenses will increase as we age. That's especially a scary concern in the United States due to the high cost of medical care and prescriptions. We found some useful tools, like the new retirement site, to help not only with our tax planning and Roth conversions, but also for healthcare expenses. And we have an affiliate link if you'd like to try new retirement. It's really important to set your projected life expectancy age to calculate different scenarios. We set our life expectancy at 95 in both Empower and new retirement and maintained a high success rate. So now, all we gotta do is keep kicking until we turn 95.
Everything that goes up must come down. We had a mix of events during the early part of COVID. And believe it or not, we had a better experience than we expected. Of course, travel stopped and we had to find a new rental house during the pandemic because our landlord had to retake his home. Fortunately, we never got the vid. The new rental home was cheaper by over $100. We switched to a plant-based diet and we got into good shape.
More passion, more energy.
The stock market remained unexpectedly strong, and best of all, on March 15th of 2020, day one of world quarantine, we found Buddy, the fourth trouble bug. He was abandoned on the streets of Guadalajara, and we truly believe he found his way to us. He really changed things for the better, he was a good distraction throughout, and we were happy to have him as Chase's new little brother. As things eased up in Mexico, we traveled many times to the beach resorts outside Guadalajara that were operating at 50% capacity, but were mostly empty. We got pampered with attention and faced an unfortunate and scary drone crash. We knew our time in Mexico was coming to an end. We had originally planned on staying for 2 years, but we had to stay one more for the obvious. So we began our plans to move to our next home base, Lisbon, Portugal. If you'd like to see the whole move process, you can watch our Portugal Move blog series here. And if you're thinking of moving there and need help with obtaining your tax ID and open a Portuguese bank account, check out border.com. They have many more services coming up in the future, and we highly recommend it.
We absolutely love life in Lisbon. We had an amazing summer, and we've made lots of local and expat friends quickly and easily here. We're not as on guard as we were in Mexico, as Portugal is one of the safest countries in the world, and traveling throughout Europe and Portugal is inexpensive when you live here, and we really enjoy taking advantage of it. There's a vibrant atmosphere, cultural richness, friendly locals, gorgeous beaches, and so much Portuguese wine, it runs through the streets. Luckily, we found another fully furnished and renovated home in a traditional suburb of Lisbon and have a fantastic landlord. The beauty of this country and the relaxed pace of life come at a little higher price though, and we are happy to pay for such a great quality of life.
Obviously, our monthly expenses were bound to go up living in Europe. So did the rents in our properties back in the US. It helps offset the increased expenses we're taking in Portugal. We adjusted well to the change, we never let the lifestyle creep get out of hand before retiring, and we continue to do the same now. We actually have weekly family meetings to review our expenses, entertainment plans, meals of the week, exercise routines, and future travel plans. And as ridiculous as it sounds, it is really important to us to do this. It helps us stay the course while we live life to the fullest.
So far, our monthly expenses in Lisbon have been a little over $3,800 a month for the past 2 years, making it a 35% increase from our expenses in Mexico. Keep in mind, the exchange rate has ranged between 97 cents to the euro up to $1.17 to the euro since we moved here in August of 2021. So, as we did in Mexico, we try to move larger amounts of money when the exchange rate is good. It makes a huge difference when you consider a monthly rent of $1,685 times 97 cents exchange rate equals $1,634, as opposed to a monthly rent at $1,685 times $1.17 exchange rate, which equals $1,971. That's a difference of $337 a month. Something that seems so minuscule can add up to make a big difference. At the time when we entered a bear market in 2022 and hit a 20% low, we began reducing our usual withdrawal rate and used some of our emergency fund. We also slowed our travel, maximized the use of our travel reward points, and postponed plans for some of our larger, more expensive trips. We made a little money when we sold our car in Mexico, and not owning one in Portugal has reduced expenses also.
Whoa, how much have we changed? Health alone, we have acquired good new habits. We exercise even more by walking the Monsanto Park multiple times a week, and we try to keep busy with a lot of activities. We're still okay not owning much stuff. We determine our true essentials to live happily and the amount of living space that is comfortable to us. We struggle a little keeping within budget though, especially this past summer. Entertainment can get expensive, and it doesn't help to have friends who love to drink and eat like we do. We are conscious on how and what we spend our money on. We are slowly refilling our emergency fund back and revisiting our emergency plan. Now, if it all fails, we can move to a small town somewhere in central Portugal with a much affordable cost of living.
Well, I recently read the book Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, and I highly recommend it. It really hit home for us, understanding the way we want to spend our money and when. We are scrutinizing our trips more so that we prioritize experiences we want to have in our younger retirement years while we're more physically fit and active. And we would also prefer to help our son financially while we're alive and can enjoy seeing him make use of it in his younger earning years, such as for a down payment on a home or wedding expenses. We've started considering more diversification options in Europe too, by looking into owning an investment property in Spain that could also work as a winter vacation getaway for us.
After 5 years in retirement living abroad, following our financial plan, trying to stay within budget, going through a world pandemic, and surviving 2 bear markets, our net worth has increased by 18%. But if we had strictly followed the guidelines of the 4% rule instead of the dynamic plan, shaving off the top when the market is up, we would have had even a higher net worth. Assuming, of course, that the housing market remained the same. All in all, we are feeling good about where we at and where we headed.
I regret making a crypto purchase during the height of the market. We should have just continued to dollar cost average in like we had been doing. And if you're purchasing crypto, we highly recommend storing it in a cold wallet like Ledger, as the market is very volatile and you don't want to lose it all. Also, we failed to follow our retirement investment plan of purchasing stock anytime the market drops by 10%. Unfortunately, we did not do that when the market had a significant drop in March 2020. The first time it happened after we retired. It's a lesson learned, and I'm sure there'll be many more lessons as we progress in our retirement journey.
Why didn't we do it sooner? Knowing what we know now, we could have easily retired earlier. And another regret is not buying crypto in the early years. I still think it's going to be a great investment in the future. Hang in there, people.
We are filled with excitement, gratitude, and feel very fortunate to maintain our early retirement. The last 5 years have raced by, and we're eager to press on and continue our search for our forever home. With the assurance provided by Empower and New Retirement's Monte Carlo scenarios, we're confident in our ability to sustain a successful retirement. Obtaining an EU passport will open new opportunities for us in different places, and we're always eager to explore more.
We remain concerned about taxes,
New lands mean new taxes.
particularly as our NHR tax regime nears expiration, but we have a positive outlook for the stock and housing markets. We found ways to save money on travel and look forward to embarking on new adventures.
As we wrap up this video, we'd like to share some of our financial strategies and tips that have helped us in our early retirement journey. We hope these insights contribute to your path towards financial freedom. Thank you for tuning in, and if you're considering early retirement, please leave us a comment, as we'd love to hear about your experiences.